right, good evening, everyone. This is the August 25, 2021 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. We are conducting this meeting as a hybrid session, meaning that some people are here in person, others are going to be joining us over the internet. And I notice we have in attendance today, besides myself, Tom Fallon, Megan Langley, Patrick Cunningham. Allison, can you signify that you are attending, please?
I am.
Outstanding. Okay, and Catherine Nordborg is not with us tonight. Joining us here, in addition, are Caleb Moody and our clerk, Ginger Buto. So this open meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission is being called to order at approximately 7:01 p.m. This meeting is being conducted both in person and remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, which was extended on June 16 of this year. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, you can call 1-408-650-3123 and enter access code 942-845-549. Or the public can join via computer at gotomeeting.com/join/942-845-549. The remote access information has been posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. And please note this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. Accordingly, for members of the commission, employees, or members of the public who are participating remotely, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and please take care not to screen share your computer. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials for tonight's meetings are available on the town's website, and the public is encouraged to follow along using that posted agenda. So before we turn to the first item on the agenda, let me briefly go over the ground rules to make this hearing go smoothly. The first is that I, as chairman of the commission, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After that person concludes their remarks, I will go down the line of members asking for any comment, questions, or motions. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. And then if any members of the public wish to ask questions or be heard, please wait until I call on you and state your name and also your address before speaking. And if anyone wishes to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through me as the chairman. And having said that, the first item on tonight's agenda is the 7 p.m. public hearing, Casella Waste Management of Massachusetts, Inc., a notice of intent to modify existing storm drainage at 15 Hardscrabble Road. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, it's a vote. And I see Mr. Walsh, will you join us, please, and unmute.
Good evening, committee members. Thanks for the opportunity to meet with you tonight.
Good evening.
Thank you. My name is Mike Walsh from Walsh Engineering Associates, and I'm here to represent Casella Waste Systems and their Auburn transfer recycling facility for some stormwater improvements projects that we hope to carry out this year.
Okay. And Mr. Walsh, this is different from other submittals you have presented to us?
Not terribly different. It's very similar to some of the work that was done last year. It focuses on some pre-treatment of stormwater. In fact, using a similar water quality unit that was installed last year. This one's a Stormwater RX Clara 25C unit. And last year we installed a Clara 40C unit on the southern drainage area. This 25C would go on the northern drainage area at the site.
Okay. And if you would, Mr. Walsh, describe how you would install the unit.
The unit is a below-grade unit. It consists of, I don't know if you had at one point maybe north side of the detention pond, and really just intercepting existing storm drainage piping right there. And other than that, there's no true below-grade work with the exception of some paving, concrete pad installation, and so forth to enhance the approach to their truck scale and enable more effective sweeping and cleaning and housekeeping items in that area. Some just due to age of pavement and so forth, it can use an upgrade at this point.
So what would be the depth of the excavation?
Approximately 8 feet for the unit, for the Clara unit. The footprint of the unit is approximately 7 foot by 9 foot, but the depth would be about 8 feet or so.
Okay.
So there will be some encroachment, I guess, as you look at the plan there. And if you go to, C 2.0, if you could, you'll see it a little bit more clear. So as I'm looking on your right-hand side, you'll see a very dark image of a rectangle. That's the catch basin, the smaller one. And next to it, just left of it, is the Clara unit itself with the 4 manholes showing at the top. So that's the 7 by 9 foot footprint or so, and like I said, about 8 feet below grade. And intercepting, there's a pipe. It's hard to see, but there's a storm drain pipe that extends from that double catch basin south to your left along the edge of the embankment to a single catch basin on the southern portion of the detention basin. All stormwater from there eventually drains around to a series of structures to the oil water. There's a 12,000-gallon oil water separator below grade, kind of for your final pre-treatment step before water discharges into the detention basin and eventually off-site through a structure and across Hartscrafton Road.
And would the excavated material be trucked off-site?
Some of it would, since it's displaced the unit. There would be some off-site material, yes.
Okay.
For the excavation of the Clara unit, for sure.
How long do you think construction would take?
I think, without weather concerns, 2 weeks potentially, but I'll say conservatively 2 to 3 weeks, and I think that's pretty conservative. One thing that could draw it out is just the paving operation, right, depending on weather and conditions and so forth. But the actual installation should be very quick. I would say with reasonable weather, within a week to install the unit, intercept the piping, and backfill it, and start preparing for paving operations after that.
Okay. And what are you proposing for erosion control measures?
Well, mainly check dams in and around the area of excavation, inlet filters in each of the basins that could potentially receive any runoff or sediment from the excavation and disturbance. And then, just beyond that, housekeeping to make sure that sweeping is done on a daily basis. There's also on the slope there, you can see silt socks will be installed on the slope below the excavation to make sure that there's nothing entering the detention pond.
Okay. And what's the maintenance schedule for the Clara unit?
The maintenance schedule, all of these units on site, there's several stormwater features we've installed. All of them are evaluated quarterly at a minimum.
Okay.
Some more frequently, but this would be in that rotation of quarterly inspection, and likely, I'll say semi-annual cleaning, but as a rule, generally now, the systems are generally cleaned once a quarter.
Very good. And I'm curious, who does the owner provide you with logs, or how is record keeping maintained?
We assist with some of that on a quarterly basis. We do a part of their stormwater pollution prevention plan. We have to provide those inspections on a quarterly basis. The facility does supplement those inspections. They do some DBG inspections, the zinc on the roof drainage filters, assist us with that. So everything at a minimum is inspected quarterly.
Mr. Walsh, I have no other questions. Does any member of the board have any questions for Mr. Walsh?
Where are the erosion, he was saying like the silt socks, where are those on the diagram? I'm looking at C1.0 right
I think they're on C 2.0.
So where would, I just don't see it in the legend.
I'm not sure I heard that clearly, but that was regarding silt socks as well?
Yeah, the question is whether they're shown on the plan.
Oh wait, I do see it now. So like right below the
Right on the slope.
Clara unit, okay. Yeah, I see it now.
Okay.
Okay.
Allison, any questions?
Is that better?
I can hear you now.
Sorry, I think I was holding that down. Are there any samples that are going to be taken, either of the sediment that's getting removed or the water quality before and after the installation?
Just to answer the sampling is done quarterly on site for this, within the requirements of the stormwater pollution prevention plan. So they have a permit from EPA, it's a multi-sector general permit. So discharge from the detention basin as an outfall is tested quarterly. Sediment generally is not, stormwater sediment is not generally tested, but it is collected.
I'm sorry, excuse me, the soil that you're taking out to send off-site for disposal or recycling, or is that going to be sampled?
We don't anticipate having to sample it. Obviously, if we saw any signs of impacts to it, whether that's odor or visual indications of any types of impacts, we would. We're not aware of any impacts in this area, but
we don't really know until you sample it. Unfortunately, it's not something you're going to just see. I don't know. I think soil should always be pre-characterized before it leaves site, but. I just would be interested in seeing the water quality analysis provided to the commission. Is that something you guys could do?
yeah, I'm sure we could. I don't think that's a problem.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. If there are no questions or other questions from the commission, is there anyone in the public who would like to comment on this notice of intent for 15 Hardscrabble Road? So we've been out there several times. We went out there most recently, I forget, was it last fall? Yeah. So, I mean, I know that we're familiar with the site. And I'm familiar with that whole area with the detention basins and also the slope. I don't really feel that a site visit is necessary, but I will certainly defer to the commission if other members would like to go and visit. You want to see it, Patrick?
No, I trust you.
Thanks. Okay, Megan, do you think there's a need to see it?
I trust you.
Oh, don't say that. Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate the confidence. In that case, is there a motion to close?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Allison?
Aye.
Okay, all right, it's a vote. So, Mr. Walsh, we are familiar with the site, as you know. You've actually been our tour guide the last few times we've been out there. So we've closed the public hearing, and we will hopefully make a determination this evening. So thank you for your presentation tonight.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. All right, the next item on our agenda is 7:05 public hearing. Donna Kentley, a request for determination to build a wall at 30 Bridle Path. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 It's a vote. Is Ms. Kenley here? Or someone on her behalf?
Yes.
Okay, come on up, sir. Right here. And can you identify yourself by name and address?
James Callahan. I'm representing Donna for 30 Bridle Path.
Okay. So why don't you tell us about the project?
She owns, I believe, 2.5 acres, and there's a retention pond in the backside of her yard. It's a large hill that goes down. It's actually the backside of like the old McDonald's coming up off of Route 20. And she's just looking to put a retention wall across her backyard so her above ground pool doesn't end up going down the hill. The retention wall is approximately 30 feet away from the wet area. And there's going to be no changes in the area other than she's going to have a retention wall put in so she can have a flat yard, so it's easier to mow and maintain and keep her pool there.
Can you describe the fence or how it's going to be constructed? Because there was a diagram in here, but it wasn't clear to me if that was going to be how the posts were going to be set for the fence in the ground. Do you know that?
Well, I'm sorry, what fence? There's no fence. This is
Sorry, the wall. I'm calling
the wall. I went through the building department with that, and they have the engineer's plans on putting in exactly how the engineered plans. And there was gravel that goes behind it and the rock, and these are the large granite or large cement 2x4 blocking that they're putting in.
Okay.
Like a commercial grade.
Do you know who did the drawing? Okay. So is the wall going to curve around in the manner that's shown in this diagram?
Correct. It goes down her backyard and it comes in along the neighbor's yard up to her garage.
And did you actually walk off the distance between the edge of the wetland and where the wall is going to be constructed?
Correct.
Okay. Would you mind if we took a look? Would you mind if we went and
Physically take a look? Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay. All right. Those are all the questions I have. Any questions from any other members of the commission? Patrick?
Are you looking to backfill behind said retention wall or to level out the land, or is this?
Yeah, there'll be a little bit of fill brought in, but it's really more maneuvering what's there.
How deep will you have to dig the post for the wall?
I believe it goes in up to 24 inches.
And you're going to set
for
up
a
concrete?
base. No, it's going to be a base.
Is it a vinyl wall? What's the wall made out of?
Concrete.
Oh, concrete.
Yeah, so this is that's what I'm saying. It's a 2x4 concrete commercial, like what you'd see at a commercial.
Okay.
They're just going to put a couple, stack 3 of those.
All right.
It's not really changing anything in the area. It's just kind of leveling off just one little space.
And do you think we could make a site visit this Saturday?
I'm sorry?
Would we make a site visit this Saturday?
Sure.
Okay. So shall we say 9 o'clock? You don't have to be there.
Okay, 9 o'clock on Saturday is fine.
Okay, perfect. Is there anyone from the audience that would like to comment on the wall at 30 Bridle Path? Okay, so do you assent to continuing the hearing to September 8th to allow us to make the site visit?
That's fine. So we can't, okay, so now we're pushing it off till September?
Well, we want to take a look. Our next meeting is September 8th, so that's 2 weeks. Okay. Ginger, do we have anything on the agenda for that night?
I have 1, 2, so you'll be at
7:10?
7:10.
Okay. Is there a motion to continue the public hearing for 30 Bridle Path to September 8th at 7:10?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Allison?
Aye.
Okay, great, it's a vote. All right, thank you. We will see you on Saturday at 9 o'clock.
Thank you.
The next matter on our agenda is a 710 public hearing, accessible housing for children, elders, and disabled LLC. A notice of intent to build a single-family home at 16 Perry Place in Auburn. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. Good evening.
Mr. Chairman, my name is James Tatro. I work for Azimuth Land Design, here representing the applicant, Accessible Housing for Children, Elders, and Disabled LLC, Hassan is here as well.
All right.
And the application before you is a notice of intent for work on 16 Perry Place. And that property is a total of 8.5 acres at the terminus of Perry Place. And it is bounded to the east by Interstate 290, to the south by land of the town of Auburn, to the west side by Perry Place, also by lands of Dacre and Largesse, and to the north side by lands of Mills and the used to be Auburn Water District. I was just talking all day about the Grafton Water District, so slip of the tongue.
Okay.
But again, it is an 8.5 acre site, and I'm going to flip the board. This is to show you overall, and I sent this over to Ginger, also the colored presentation plan. What we're proposing is to alter 24,000 and change square feet of area for the construction of a single-family home. On the site, you have wetland areas. We have submitted a wetland delineation report by Scott Heim of Northeast Ecological Services. You have wetlands at the south and at the north ends of the site. And just to quickly spin back to the overall view, excuse me. At the north end of the site, you have wetlands associated with Kettle Brook, a perennial stream. We're not proposing to do any alteration within the buffer zone or within the riverfront area at the north end of the site. What is proposed is a construction of a single-family home with driveway and parking at the south end of the site within the buffer zone at that boundary of the property. So I'm going to spin back. Trying to be confusing. I just wanted to show where things are.
Okay.
So what you see, the representation on this plan is this is the proposed house. This is Perry Place with the turnaround circle such as it is. This orange boundary is a proposed erosion control barrier consisting of silt fence backed by staked straw bales. The green area that you see is area expected to be altered in the course of this construction. We propose to carry this roof runoff of this structure to an infiltration structure over here behind it, measuring 6 feet wide and 34 feet long and 26 and a half inches deep, which will more than take the half-inch storm from this roof. We actually have done a series of unofficial deep holes throughout the site already. We did one just at the property line over here, which was a sandy loam, and as we went further to the north and to the east, actually, soils really became terrific sandy and gravelly stuff for the most part. But this home would be served by a connection to water and sewer, if available, off of Perry Place. If a sewer connection is not available, we can easily put a septic system outside of the buffer zone over where we already found excellent soils. But we're not proposing to alter any wetlands for this proposal. The nearest that this building will be, its foundation to wetland is 56 feet from flag A2 of those shown on this plan. This is actually just an overhang that you see not hatched. This is actually 51 feet from flag A13, but again, more than 50 feet at every point. And I believe the closest single point of work is because there's a gravel pile here that's partly on top of the existing pavement and partly off, that's going to be removed. And this is 16 feet from flag A1. But other than that, you can see we show, in addition to the 100-foot buffer zone line, we show the 50-foot and 25-foot. And except for as you approach this gravel pile, we stay outside the 25-foot buffer zone. And just to recap quickly from Scott Heim's report, he did his transect looking at the wetland at flag A9 right behind the proposed house, and he found red oak, a hornbeam, and paper birch and bracken fern, which I always had the misconception that every fern is a wetland plant, but bracken is not, in the upland area. And in the wetland side, he found red maple, high bush blueberry, burreed, cinnamon fern, and skunk cabbage. He talks in his report about how the south wetland consists of he called it an emergent, I think he called it an emergent meadow wetland, may have been his phrasing, which I think he's describing the area over here where there's really no overstory, there's no trees, and also some forested wetland, which I believe he's describing the area close to Perry Place, where it is, just as the phrase implies, is forested and wooded fairly deeply. So, just to wrap up quickly, our proposal is to construct this single-family home, to send its roof runoff into an infiltration structure. The building itself is more than 50 feet from the wetlands at all points. The work only gets within 25 as we're approaching this gravel pile. And just one more quick note, this very thick line that you see on the plans is the FEMA 100-year flood zone. And I think FEMA's done better work, but it is what it is. I guess I'll just turn it over to you folks and ask if there's any questions I can try and answer. And again, Mr. Benincasa here also.
So I have a few questions. How much impervious area are you going to be creating with the construction of this home?
The home is 4,014 square feet, including the overhangs.
Okay.
And
how about the parking area?
I don't have a number on the parking area, but I can certainly get that.
And you believe that the infiltration basin that you've shown on the plan is sufficient to handle all of that runoff, both the runoff from the roof and also from, you're not proposing any drainage for the parking area, correct?
It's correct. It's not, this infiltration area is receiving the roof runoff. It is not receiving the drive in front of the structure.
And how many parking spaces are you proposing?
There are 6 total. 4 in a block here and 2 in a block there.
Okay. And can you describe generally what the purpose of the home is?
Sure. I guess I would turn over to Mr. Benincasa for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. So we build homes for it's for people with traumatic brain injury. 80% of our occupants had stroke. So it's kind of, each home is a little bit different. Some are usually younger homes, male homes, female homes, older homes. We don't have the exact occupants that are going here, and on a public place, I'm not really supposed to tell you exactly who's going there.
Understood.
Just out of privacy and
of course.
But that's the agency that's going to be going here. It does serve people that had traumatic brain injury. It's not behavioral. It's not no substance abuse. It's none of that. It's people that are in nursing homes that really shouldn't be in nursing homes. They have a lesser need than somebody that in a nursing home, but there's no homes for them to really come out of a nursing home and live in and still have some care. There will be 2 people that will be working in the home. The home will be staffed 24/7. There's 3 shifts per day. Nobody sleeps in the home. They're not living in the home as far as the people that are the staff that's working there. So that's why there's 6 parking spaces in every one of the homes that we provide. So it's the 2 staff plus 2 staff when they come in. So you're gonna have the 4 cars there during a shift change, and then 2 for family members or guests when they want to come see their family. We also do propose a loop. So what that does is our homes do have vans with backup because of the funding. We had to have a backup alarm. So instead of doing a driveway coming in where they would have to back up and turn around, we do the loop so that that's one of the biggest complaints that we have in our homes was the backup alarms at different times. So we do create loops in all of our homes.
And how many patients would you house at a given time?
4.
Just 4 people?
Yeah, and it's their home. This is where they're they're using the home just like you and I. They're going to go grocery shopping, and they have a higher level of need than what we would have.
Understood. Okay. So So we like to do sidewalks, and so I think I would contemplate doing a sidewalk for this property, preferably this weekend, because I think the weather's going to be decent, no hurricanes this weekend. If you're available at, say, 9:30, okay, that'd be great. Those are all my questions. Any questions from the commission?
So, and you may have answered this, but I just need clarification. So it says, so the roof runoff will be captured and directed to an infiltration structure. What about the parking lot runoff?
The parking lot runoff is going to go into Perry Place. This is downhill from this. This is elevation 500. This is elevation 496. 500, 498, 496. And right now, this ground actually does already drain into Perry Place. This is an existing elevation of 506. The rain that falls right here, right now, is running into Perry Place already. So it's not a change of...
So wait, Perry Place is... But what is it?
Perry Place is the street.
That is the start. Okay, because there's Kettle Brook and then Perry Place, so I was confused. There's two. So Kettle. Okay, so the brook. That's the brook. Is Perry Place? Okay.
Yeah. And there is there is a culvert under Perry. I'm probably close to the right location over when I'm saying where I'm putting my pen. Over here, there's an intermittent stream that flows through here. Way at the north of the site, Kettle Brook is a perennial stream.
But the project is nowhere near Kettlebrook.
Yeah. We're 500 plus feet away from the wetland over at the north end and from the riverfront area at the, just flipping quickly. Again, this is the wetland associated with Kettle Brook. These flags here mark actual flags put by the wetland scientist on Kettle Brook. And this is where the proposed house is, and this is more than 500 feet from that wetland area and from the riverfront area.
Allison, any questions?
Has any alternatives been explored as to, possibly moving this further away from the wetland? It's hard to see without looking at it, in a sidewalk, but it almost seems like you have some room to move it to the right or the northeast, if this is looking north.
Sure. The issue there is that you've got that FEMA 100-year flood zone boundary over to the east and to the northeast, and you actually, so if you take this, imagine the same sort of general block of alteration over here, you actually would overlap and you would extend into the FEMA 100-year flood zone.
What line? I'm sorry, I don't think I saw.
It's the FEMA line.
I don't know if you can see where I'm running the pen. There's a very thick line with 2 dots and a long dash over here.
Yeah.
This line is the FEMA 100-year flood zone. The area where I'm putting my hand now is in FEMA's designated 100-year flood zone. So to try and move this, think of this colored block of area that's development to the northeast, first of all, we would actually get closer to this sort of spike, if you will, of wetland by flag A13. But once you get beyond it, you actually would start to overlap the FEMA 100-year flood zone. This is actually I think the best location for getting separation from the 100-year flood zone and from the buffer zone.
I'd be worried about flooding here, I guess.
Well, it's outside the flood zone.
I just said it wasn't the flood zone.
No.
No, if we moved to the northeast, as you're suggesting, I think we would get into the flood zone. It's not very consistent, entirely consistent in this way, but the flood zone for much of this area goes around the elevation 494, and this proposed house has a floor elevation of 501, so it's 7 feet above the 100-year flood elevation.
we can take a look at it on Saturday. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. Any other questions from the commission? Okay, if there is anyone here in the audience that would like to comment on this, I'd ask you to, hold on, raise your hand, state your name, as you just did, sir, and state your name and also your address. So please, sir, go ahead.
Daniel E. Largess, 39 Perry Place. I'm going to try and give you some history.
Okay.
That property was the Zinnemann property until 290 went in, which Mr. Paradise purchased. It's basically for golf from Mr. Zinnemann. Mr. Paradise had that land locked. Mr. Downer, who is deceased now, his son is here representing the family, sold Mr. Paradise an access. When Mr. Paradise bought that, he filled in the 100-year flood. That was the overflow for the swamp. That anytime we had a flood, it always went up the overflow. Since it's been filled in,
And when was that, sir?
I want to say the early 90s.
Okay.
Since that's been filled in, you can, when you drive down there, you'll be able to see when we have a rainstorm, it comes right over Perry Place at the beginning from number 11 Pearl Street until you get to Mr. Bolivar's house, because it has a slight incline. And then when you get to the other side of the incline, the water overflows there because it was filled in. So it's been overflowing. You can see how the road is disarray. I went in front of the town board to try to get the street, and it is a private street also.
That's part of the problem.
That's right, it's a private street also. So, we tried to get the town to take it over so it could get repaired. Back in 1974, this town elevated the street, paved it, put in the sewer line running down Perry Street 2/3 of the way, and then it shoots off into the access for the sewer line off of Rockland Road, which goes all the way to Sword Street. So that overflow has been filled in. It floods a lot.
Okay.
There's numerous neighbors here that can tell you, and you can see where it washes right up.
And have you contacted DPW about a fix?
We've contacted DPW. It is a private street.
Okay.
The gravel pile that he's talking about, the town grades the property maybe once a year. Myself and one of the other neighbors, we grade it. The town will no longer send heavy equipment down there because it was ripping, where it's flooding, it was ripping the street up. So what we do is just put millings in.
Okay.
Myself and one of the other neighbors, we put the millings in when the town isn't available to do it, because the town only spends X amount of dollars on a private road.
What about snow plowing?
Snowplow, they send one pickup truck down, they try to get as wide as they can. Myself, one of the other neighbors, comes down with our little machines and we widen it up.
Okay.
Because sometimes it's not even wide enough for a fire engine to get down.
Okay, so I'm hearing your concerns about Perry Place flooding. And the fact that it's a private way indicates that the town's involvement in maybe solving those problems is limited. Are you contending that the construction of this property is going to make the situation worse?
We don't want to worry about the road, myself and the rest of the residents here.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 residents are also there.
Okay.
This, heavy equipment back and forth down the road, the only heavy trucks that come down there are the tractors. And that's it, because it won't handle town equipment.
Okay.
The big town plows rip the street apart. The town has been gracious enough to supply the millings that we fill in.
Okay.
The water stops at the condominiums, which is one myself and 2 other residents own a sewer line that goes in from the end to our houses. We had to pay for that, and we paid dearly for that.
I'm sure you did.
We just worried about water runoff, the swamp, the overflow, the road is, it's bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. The town said no, they wouldn't take it because there was no sidewalks, berms, and retaining walls.
Okay.
My assumption was when they raised the road and they paved the road, it became a town road.
No, it's going to be accepted by at town meeting.
Well, back in 1974, so when Mr. Paradise sold the property to his niece, who this company bought it off of, they were going to put a house right where he said. It came to their attention that the town shot it down. There was no house allowed to be built there due to the wetlands.
Okay, and when was that?
That was, forgive me, I'm trying to think of when he purchased it. Maybe late 90s, or late 90s, early 2000s.
Because I was sitting on the commission then, and I don't recall seeing an application or any plan that was submitted to the Conservation Commission for a house in this location at that time.
Well, that's what they told us, that they couldn't do it because the town said no, it was non-buildable.
So, all right.
So they put it up, they held on to it for years. They were gonna build a house there for their son.
Okay.
Their son turned around, and I don't know what happened, they said it was not buildable, so that's when they started, the thinking started.
Okay. I understand.
I don't know if any of the other residents and neighbors would like to say anything else.
Sir, please, and your name and where you live, sir.
Yeah, Roland White, 32 Carroll Street. Just to reiterate, even though I admit this was a lousy rainstorm, but you're talking about flooding, and I'll tell you what, my whole backyard was underwater.
Okay. And how often does that happen? Or let me ask.
Probably once a year, if not more. And the only way it subsides is when they opened up the gates.
Okay.
System. So there is a flood problem all along that area. That brook was supposed to be worked on and dredged. A couple of years ago, we signed papers for people to go back to and check it out by the EPA or one of those outfits.
Okay.
One of those letters. But anyway, nothing has been done. We assumed that they were going to clean it and widen it to carry more water down the way and prevent some of the flood. But I can tell you right now, you can't walk past my backyard into the wetlands without losing your boots.
Okay.
That's how it is.
All right.
So, I mean, there is a flood problem, and I think this is going to make it even worse.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Paul Dockery, 32 Curry Place.
Yes.
Couple of questions. They're saying it's 8 acres of land. Is that what you're saying? 8 acres?
8.5 is what our surveyor tells
My
us.
understanding is that's 2 separate lots.
Correct.
Go through a special meeting, it's kind of
Well,
my
my understanding is that they're building on a very small portion of the property.
question is, we originally had a conversation when we first came down to buy the property. He mentioned he was going to build a house towards the wetland, and then he wanted a driveway going past my house and between the house and my house
Okay.
for development down back.
Sir, the only thing I can comment on is what has been presented to us. Okay, I have no knowledge of anything else.
Plans right now for that.
Sir, as I indicated, this is the plan that was submitted. I have no knowledge of anything else.
What's going to happen?
Okay. right, so anyway, if you heard us before, we take sidewalks, and we're going to be doing a sidewalk this Saturday. So I think we're going to be there around 9:30 or so. If you don't have to attend, I mean, we have your plans and we have your filing. So do we have your permission then to continue the public hearing to September 8th at 7:15?
Mr. Chairman, we would request to continue the hearing to your September 8th meeting at 7:15.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to continue the public hearing to September 8th at 7:15?
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, it's a vote. So we will see you on Saturday, and we're continuing the public hearing to our next meeting, which is September 8th at 7:15. The next matter on the agenda was a 7:15 public hearing. Jeffrey Jazz, excuse me. We're conducting a meeting. We've moved on to the next on our agenda. Feel free to speak outside. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is 7:15 public hearing, Jeffrey Jazz, a notice of intent. The applicant has requested that we continue the public hearing. Ginger, did they request a continuance to September 8th?
They have.
Okay, is there a motion to continue the public hearing for Jeffrey Jazz to September 8th at 7:20?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's a vote. Next item on our agenda is a 7:20 public hearing. Paul and Stephanie Outerson for a notice of intent to build an addition at 23 Hoover Road in Auburn. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's a vote. Mr. and Mrs. Outerson, good evening. Thank you for attending this evening. So as you will recall, we actually did come to your home and we made an inspection. Everything, you showed us where the wetland or the wet area was, certainly separate and distinct from the area where you're planning to build the addition. So I have no questions, sir, for you or your wife. Does anyone have any questions for the Outersons? Allison, any questions? Because you were with us that day.
No questions.
Perfect. In that case, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's a vote. All right, you will be hearing from us shortly. Okay, thank you for coming tonight. The next item on our agenda is 7:20 public hearing, 7:25 public hearing, Tony DeFutis, a notice of intent to rebuild the stone wall at 10 Rotary Road in Auburn. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 It's a vote. All right, Mr. DeFutis. Good evening, sir. Why don't you come on up over here? Thank you for your patience. Hi there. Hi. Okay, so I know that you have been here before and you were asked to provide additional information, which you have done.
Yep, sorry for it's taking me 3 times to get you what you need. We apologize.
That's all right.
At the conservation round.
Not a problem. So what's You have basically what, just riprap on the slope of your, near the water?
It's bigger than riprap. It's a rock wall. Somebody carried rocks down there, I don't know how many years ago.
Okay.
But it's just collapsed, and some of the walls are there, some of them are not, and it's just in complete disarray.
Okay, so your plan is you're going to use an engineered wall to replace it, correct?
We're gonna tier it to 3 walls. I was gonna take all the rocks that we have there existing and put a natural rock wall for the bottom one close to the lake.
Okay.
And then use the engineered blocks for the other 2 walls to bring the rest of it up, so we had flat areas instead of hills.
Is it your intention to use some of the remaining or the rocks that are there on site to rebuild the natural rock wall?
Correct. Yep, the bottom wall will be all the existing rocks that are there.
Okay. And you're also installing erosion control measures, obviously between where the wall is going to be installed and the water.
Correct.
Any idea how long it would take to do the construction work?
I'm told 3 weeks, so I would quote that at 4.
Yeah, understood. How are they going to actually erect the wall? I mean, I'm looking at this diagram, and it shows a big front-end loader.
So there would be. So there's a small ramp going in that we're hoping to use for a golf cart ramp at the edge. Up into that. So we'd start with that. That'll be rip-wrapped on both sides with a check dam on the bottom.
Okay.
And including while we're doing construction, there'll be 2 layers of silt fence with 9-inch wattle on the inside. Silt fence will be dug down into the ground, so nothing will get past it.
Right.
And then we'll use that ramp to put a mini excavator down there, and that's how they'll level off where the new wall's going to go. Put the crushed stone for 12 inches below it, and then we'll set the first course of that wall 6 inches below the grade.
Okay.
And then we'll just work his way right out. The bottom hill.
Bottom first and then work your way up?
Correct, yeah, I would assume we'll start at the bottom, and most of that will be by hand. The machine might be moving them to different locations to get them there. That will be built by hand.
And your hope is that when it's done, it's going to look like that, correct?
Exactly.
Oh, boy. Isn't Photoshop great? Okay.
Bluebeam.
Okay. I have no other questions, sir. Thank you. Any questions from the commission?
Nope.
Is that, that order of construction like outlined in this plan?
It is. I didn't layer as to where we were going to start, top or bottom, but the construction is pretty much outlined of the 6 inches below ground for the first layer, the 12 inches of, so on the wall construction, we got 12 inches of crushed stone below each wall. First, the lowest to be 6 inches below grade. No retaining wall to be higher than 6 foot, as that's the rating from the specs on the block manufacturer. That way we will not need the netting that'll go back for the geo nets. I am going to put in a new fence at the top because that will be a 6-foot wall, so no one falls over at the top. That'll be a wrought iron anchored directly to the top of the wall itself. Crushed stones will be put in behind each wall for drainage, along with heavy-duty soil stabilization fabric, so it'll keep the silt out and let the water drain right through each one.
I'm curious, did you do these pictures, if you will, yourself?
I did.
Okay. All right. I mean, what we normally do with when we issue our order of conditions is to request an as-built plan. So I think an as-built might look something different than this, just so you understand that.
So when it's done, just
probably would need a plan of some kind, just showing the actual construction, or that basically when someone submits a notice of intent, they usually provide us with an engineered plan. What you've done, I mean, you've done a very good job representing what you intend to do there. I'm just suggesting that we will need something, if we issue the order of conditions, to show what you've actually constructed, if you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So, you know, in this case, maybe even a photograph or photographs would be sufficient. Okay? Very good. I have no other questions. Allison, any questions?
From the picture that I'm looking at on the television, can you just explain to me the 10-foot on the right side, getting that close to the wall's edge there?
Yes, so right now on existing conditions, if you look at the silt fence photo that I had, the wall starts to come out and it gets closer and closer and closer until it actually meets the water right now. And it's my intention to bring the buffer zone so the rocks are not to the water's edge, to create that buffer zone right back to that tree, which is, let me grab my other measurement sheet. I believe it's 13 feet from the water to the tree now. So I figured with a 3-foot wall to stay in front and gain a buffer zone with grassy area by the lake so the rocks in the wall isn't right at the water's edge.
What are the plans for stabilizing the soil where the rock's going to be disturbed? I mean, it's funny to say you don't want sediment on your beach, but, we're just trying to prevent, loose soil and disturbed soil, there can't be any stockpiles of soil in that, as much as you can outside of that 25-foot area. So that's just all we would want, I would hope to recommend and be concerned about.
Well, we can certainly put that in the order of conditions too.
Yeah, I'm just thinking out loud here.
Understood. Okay. All right, any other questions? There being none, is there a motion to close?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, it's a vote. All right, Mr. DeFutis, thank you for coming, and Mrs. DeFutis, appreciate it. And I'm hoping we will have a decision for you. We'll do vote on this tonight. All right, so thank you
very much.
You're welcome. Okay, next item on our agenda is 7:30 public hearing. Jim Fabry, a notice of intent to construct a warehouse distribution facility at Lot 3 at 190 Washington Street. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, it's a vote. Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, Travis Brown with Turning Point Engineering, here representing the applicant J.M. Cool for a site development plan and notice of intent application for a warehouse distribution facility. Since the last meeting, we had discussed primarily one area of the wetland in this location and our proposed work in proximity to that wetland.
Correct.
As you may recall, that work was proposed to occur within the 25-foot buffer zone. At that last meeting, you had requested that Graves look at the hydrology to that area. Steve O'Connell of Turning Point Engineering and Jeff Walsh of Graves Engineering and I met out there yesterday, did some augering, did a test pit up gradient of that wetland. Certainly don't want to speak for Jeff, but in his report, he thinks it's a combination of overland surface flow to that wetland, but primarily that wetland is fed from groundwater. So our thoughts here, and we also agree with that based on what we had looked at in that area a little closer yesterday, was that we were going to pull this grading that we had previously shown fairly close to that wetland, all outside of the 25-foot buffer. So relocate that pavement and that grading, that cut slope away from that wetland area, so we're not adversely impacting, hydrology.
So none of the work then is in the 25-foot zone. What I found interesting about the letter from Mr. Walsh, which we got late this afternoon, is that he says the actual source of the groundwater is unknown. So that, I think, I suppose if you wandered further, you could find it, but, I mean,
Yeah, it's hard to say exactly what's going on there, but our approach would be, at least if we're further away from the wetland, we're not impacting it.
Exactly.
We would if we were where we are right now.
right. Okay, so is this a revised plan then?
This is not, so this is the original plan. So our thought is we want clear direction here tonight, if that is amenable to you folks to do that, to get further from the wetland and maintain kind of
Always.
25-foot.
Always. Yeah, we, as you probably know, from sitting in our meetings, we are not fans of encroachment in the 25-foot zone. So speaking for myself, I think pulling it away from, or making it farther than 25 feet away, I think is a good solution to, and addresses the issues that we have with it. So,
Yeah, we're currently in the process of planning board to get what we hope is a final revised set. So we wanted to come in tonight and get clear direction.
Sure.
And then provide that revised plan to the Conservation Commission as well as the planning board. And then that would be ultimately the plan that would be.
So the hope would be that by September 8th, you'd have a final plan. You will have gotten, final approval from the planning board, and then we can sign off on this at the next meeting.
Yeah, so the next planning board meeting, I believe, is September 14th.
Oh, it is? Okay, well, we're going to meet on the 8th. All right.
I mean, if we provided you that plan showing that work to be outside of that 25-foot, presumably we'd be in a position to close it.
I think so. Speaking only for myself. Allison?
Yeah.
So, yes, great, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, you concur? Unmute.
Talking to me again?
I'm talking to you again.
I said yes.
Okay. She said
Yes, I concur. I think that is a great thought process and appreciate the changes.
All right. Having said that then is, let's see, so is there a motion to continue the public hearing in this matter to September 8th at 7:25?
I have a question.
Okay, I'm sorry, Megan.
It's okay. And I don't read a lot of these reports, so bear with me. But I guess what I don't see spelled out obviously in the Graves report is how either the current plan or the revised plan would affect the wetlands. Like, I'm not connecting the dots because it doesn't seem to act. I thought that the intention of this report was to, maybe I misunderstood the intention of.
The concern, I think, was that we had a concern that this proposed project was going to end up dewatering that southern wetland.
Right.
And according to, it appears that that wetland is fed both by groundwater primarily. That would not be affected by, therefore not affected by this project or this proposed plan, and that was based on augering, which apparently showed the presence of hydric soils and seepage, showing that there was. Am I correct? Okay.
Is this conveyed through the sand layer up gradient of the wetland? So that's a layer that's not being disturbed by this project?
I think the plan is by pushing everything outside the 25 feet, there's less of an opportunity of that wetland being dewatered.
Right, you're not taking that within 25 feet of the wetland, you're not taking that grade down to an elevation that's below the wetland within that 25 feet is the idea, where previously we were cutting roughly 10 feet from that point of that wetland. So now we'll be a minimum of 25 feet away. From my understanding, Graves just reported their findings based on the evidence that they saw out there. I don't know if they were instructed to give a recommendation, but it's a hard kind of thing to give a recommendation on that's not clear. You're talking about groundwater, and as the report says, he's unsure exactly
What the source is.
Right.
Right.
So there will still be there won't be a disruption of the soil to the extent that it will disrupt the feeding of the wetland.
Correct.
That's the idea.
Our concern was that the project would somehow end up dewatering the wetland, and according to this, and I can certainly, granted, we didn't have a chance to really review this in any detail, and I certainly didn't have a chance to speak to Mr. Walsh, and I will call him and ask him to address that concern, but my understanding is that especially by moving the project back more than 25 feet, the chances of the wetland being dewatered, I think, are substantially reduced. And again, there's a separate source of groundwater. It's not only what's
Immediately
coming down the slope, but also there's actual groundwater that feeds that wetland, which I actually think is consistent with what we saw there. You know, so.
Yeah, so in his report too, just to dive in a little bit, so he specifies wetland flag 211 to 226. So on this plan, that is this area here.
Right.
You know, so there is remaining area that flows to that wetland, both surface flow and groundwater, because tends to be high groundwater in this area, but also from this side. So pulling that 25, you'll keep that, but also there's an area up gradient towards the back that would still maintain hydrology, if that answers your question.
This is Allison. I guess you know that since, well, anyway, there was a talk of maybe showing us a plan with some arrows on it to kind of show, you know, where the flow is going to be going. And also, I don't know if it would be possible to show us a cross-section, kind of how this is going to look, because it's still a little bit hard to visualize in this way.
I'm sorry.
And maybe that would just help.
A cross-section of what?
Like the wetland towards what's going to be cut away as the parking lot. We can, you know, see that, you know, the distance and that grade, I guess.
Do you mean like a profile from like the side, like looking?
Yeah, a cross-section of the area.
Are you speaking?
Coming through the tip of the wetland towards the parking lot.
Yeah, we can provide it.
All right, they've agreed to provide it to us.
Allison, is there like a specific cross-section line, like that you'd want to see, like, you know, which?
Well, how about right in the bend?
Yeah, so
I think they know what I'm talking about. The area that we've been talking about this whole time. That area that would have been floating, yeah.
This area right here.
Yeah, I'm thinking wetland flag 220. It's hard to see on the plan, but that's the furthest.
Do you have a copy of this?
Yeah, I only can see it on my phone right now.
Here, take mine. I can get another copy.
But we can run it from, thank you. So we can run that from that wetland flag that's closest as shown on the existing plan out to the parking area, if that's the area you're talking about.
It is. It is. All right, good.
I think that would help us visualize it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so.
Will that show, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Will that show also like the depth to which there's excavation and disturbance on the cross-section too?
Yes, exactly. Yep. It'll show a slope from the wetland down to the parking area, and then that 25 feet in between, and then we'll even show on the other side as the wetland goes down the other way.
Perfect. Okay, I think I asked for a motion to continue the public hearing to September 8th at 7:25. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye.
Hi.
All right, it's a vote. All right, thanks for coming in.
Very much.
And we'll see you on September 8th. Okay. Next item on our agenda is 166 Bryn Mawr. There was a request for a certificate of compliance. We made a site visit there, and frankly, where it's a duplex, and on the side of the duplex where the request was submitted, didn't see any indication of any wetland. Again, I think this was a project that was built quite a while ago. Again, and this is kind of this happens, or may be happening more often, where the commission has approved a notice of intent. We've issued order conditions, and like 15 years later, someone comes forward because they want a certificate of compliance. But having said that, because I did not see any evidence of any wetland, therefore I did not see any evidence of any problem with approving the certificate of compliance for 166 Bryn Mawr. So having said that, is there a motion? A motion.
I make a motion that we issue a certificate of compliance for 166 Bryn Mawr.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. Ms. McElroy, can you unmute? Ms. McElroy? Okay. There was a complaint about grindings that had been deposited near the wetlands at 37 Mill Street. We made a site inspection a few weeks ago, and in fact, we found...
I'm sorry, it has kicked me out when I try to respond. I'm here.
Okay, it sounds like you have company too.
Oh, I have a 6-month-old daughter. I do.
Congratulations. So Ms. McElroy, are you here on Pondville Pond?
I am not. I am actually off of William Street, and I was trying to figure out the situation with the building on Perry Place.
And did you just sign in, or have you been waiting all this time?
No, I just signed in.
Okay, so we had that discussion. I can tell you that we are making a site walk this Saturday at 9:30, and we continue the public hearing in this matter to our next meeting, which is going to be September 8th at 7:15.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. All right. So we made a site walk for 737 Mill Street. There are grindings near the wetlands. It seemed pretty clear to us that they shouldn't be there and that they should be removed. So I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. I don't know how long the grindings have been there. I'm not sure that an enforcement order at this point is appropriate, but I think a letter to them saying they have to remove these grindings is probably warranted. So would there be a motion? Anyone? Bueller?
Make a motion to send a letter to 37 Mill Street to remove
grindings. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's a vote. Pondville Pond, we received a complaint. Apparently, there's a portion of Pondville Pond that is privately owned. And the question was whether or not we can treat the entire pond instead of just that portion that is owned by the town. And there was, I believe in your package, you received a copy of an email that was sent from Joanna Paquin to Caleb Moody, saying that in fact, the portion of Pondville Pond that abuts 2 Riverside Drive is owned by Ms. Mary Cox of 15 Brook Street. My thought was, we do have the funds. It seems to me that if we have the funds to do weed and algae treatment, and if we can get Ms. Cox to agree to let us treat that section of the pond, we should do it. So my thought would be to send a letter to Ms. Cox explaining the situation and basically requesting permission to have that section of the pond treated. So is there a motion?
Do we know what this is? Like what the grass is that's growing here?
I think that's algae and crap.
The big moundy stuff?
Yeah.
Is it algae? algae?
I'm not sure.
It's just, yeah.
I'm not sure,
Invasive plants, basically.
but invasive, exactly. So we have funds and we do weed control.
Okay.
And so I think the thought would be that, if we have the funds and treat all of Pondville Pond as long as the private owner would agree. It's not a cost that she would incur. It's
Who does the treatment?
we have a company called Solitude Lake Management that does it. We have a contract with them. I don't know offhand.
I do have a question of just related to what is actually in the pond. The methods to removal, is it chemical? Are they coming in with a vacuum truck?
I think it's chemical.
Chemical.
They use the harvest machine too, I think.
Yeah, they have a vacuum truck for plants, aquatic plants.
We can get details for you.
Yeah, I guess I'd just like to know details
Okay.
about how they do it, and then, moving forward, we have other projects like this, and we can help us better establish the methods that...
Sure.
It's chemical for algae, and then it's, physical for the aquatic weeds often, so just curious for the details.
Joanna did also respond to this, this email.
Okay.
Letting her know that is privately owned back there.
Right. We don't have an address or an email address from Ms. Cox, do we?
I do.
Oh, you do?
It should be within your email.
Hey, Mike?
Yes.
Property owner, I do not know.
Okay. All right. Yes, Allison.
So, am I understanding that Auburn owns this pond except for this one section?
I think it's more than that, right? Do we?
Like, are we treating the entire pond, I guess is my concern, and then I think we should get some sort of, idea of the success rate or how long they think it will last or that kind of stuff from the contractor.
I think Mr. Moody has some information for us.
Through the chair, if I may.
Please.
Perhaps it would be appropriate to get a motion to receive property owner authorization to get a quote on what it would cost the commission and what the process would be to remove
Absolutely.
species.
But I think the other question is it just Ms. Cox that owns that portion of the pond, or there are?
I believe there's multiple private properties.
So we probably, if we're going to be comprehensive about this, we need to contact everyone, don't you think?
I would agree.
If they only treat it a little bit, it's not going to be effective.
Correct. So can you think of a way that we can get that information?
Yeah, I believe through the assessor's office, we should be able to come up with some contact information.
Okay. So my thought is that assuming and like you said, treating one portion of it's not going to be sufficient. If we can get the permission of all of the owners to do this, then we can approach Solitude, get a quote for what the cost would be. They could then actually submit a proposal to us. Which we could put mark as an agenda item. They could go over the methods and what their sequence would be for doing the work, and then we can act on it.
At what level does it have to go out to bid, like the public bid?
Well, we have an existing contract with them. So I don't think it's a matter of it going out to public bid. I think it would be a modification of
There's like a
the existing.
contract value, and if it's above that, like $10,000 or something, it has to be,
Right. Right. And I don't know what the amount is, frankly, and if we do have to competitively bid it, I'm sure we will. But I think the first thing we need to do is find out who actually owns the area surrounding the pond, contact them, and then see if we can get a consensus on treating it, because I think it would benefit them too, I believe.
certainly. I'm just saying we don't want to put SoCal, make them do all this work and then have it come up as public bid. So if we got an idea of how big it was, roughly how much it would cost.
Okay. All right. So I think then why don't we do this? Before sending any letter to Ms. Cox, let's get the list of the abutters that have a property interest in the pond. And why don't we carry this over to our next meeting then as a discussion item? Okay? 498 Rochdale Street. I haven't had any further contact with DEP, but it seems pretty clear to us that they believe the property owner has complied with their unilateral enforcement order. I know that I received an email from Attorney Hannigan. He is attempting to get a hearing scheduled on the issue of fines that were issued to both Ms. Valdron and also Mr. Goodman. So hopefully by the time of our next meeting, we'll have some more information on that. The meeting minutes of July 14th. So I reviewed the meeting minutes and I had no changes to make. Any changes? Anyone have any changes to the meeting minutes for July 14th?
I do.
Okay.
I can make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes for July 14th as presented.
Do you have any questions, Megan?
Yeah,
Before we act on that,
maybe I don't understand
okay,
something.
all right.
Because at the bottom it says, the very last thing,
You mean on
6/23/21, 8 p.m. Nathan, what is it? Because Nate wasn't at this meeting, so what is that? I don't understand.
Well, this was actually, yeah, actually. So, Ginger, you've given Nathan Rand credit for attending a meeting that I'm pretty sure he didn't attend. Didn't his appointment end
I
at
will
the end of
figure
June?
out that. I will figure that one out then. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
I will fix that. Sorry about that one.
Grammatically correct, though.
Yay. So the question then is, who made a motion to adjourn?
I will figure it out. I'll go back and look. I'll go back and listen to it.
All right, so because we need to
Actually-
figure out, because, Mr. Rand did not appear as a ghost at our meeting of July 14th, we're going to continue, we'll continue approval of the meeting minutes of July 14th to our next meeting.
Sorry about that.
We have orders to issue. So we continued Countley, we continued Perry Place. We closed the public hearings for Casella, for Outerson, and also for DeFutis. So for Casella, is there a motion? Come on. Anyone? Bueller?
Our next meeting is within the 3 weeks or not?
It is within the next 3 weeks, but do you really want to wait 3 weeks and then have to issue 3 orders of conditions at 3 weeks from now or 2 weeks from now?
Well, I'm just worried we haven't gotten to the stuff that applies to stormwater management, but somebody wants to go for it.
All right, so for Casella, is there a motion to issue an order of conditions?
I make a motion that we issue an order, standard order, plus the following special conditions that we've already had, numbers 1 through 15, and I'll go down item by item.
Sure, please.
Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 5, number 8, number 9, number 11, number 13.
That should do it.
And yes, that should do it.
Okay, so Tom's motion is standard order conditions plus special conditions 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 11, 13. I would just amend 13 because he indicated that under their plan, they maintain quarterly. So instead of annually, it'll be quarterly. Okay. With that amendment, is there? Yes, Allison, what is it?
Can I suggest that we add submission of water quality testing reports to us, semi-annually or something?
Okay, so tell us how you want to word it, please.
Following completion of construction and before a certificate of compliance may be issued. I guess that's different. That any water quality sampling conducted may be presented in report form to the Conservation Commission semi-annually. Just going off the cuff here.
But you see, we can't go off the cuff. If you're going to submit a new condition, it has to be specified, I think. So
I'm not a wordsmith, so writing it is the harder part. But someone wants to help me. The point just being, I think they should let us know how the water quality going into the ponds are.
all right. So in that case, I'll propose the following language. The applicant shall, after construction is completed, the applicant shall submit water quality tests or the results of water quality testing on a semi-annual basis, period. How's that?
What's the extent? Is that mean in perpetuity?
That's a long time.
Kind of does, yeah.
Perpetuity is a long time. Well, see, this is the problem. This is why we can't really do this sort of off the cuff. For a period of 5 years.
Okay.
5 years?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right. So,
I don't have a DEP number.
Good, Bill?
okay, hold on. So we can't issue the order until we get a DP number? So we just spent, all right, so we have to wait until the next meeting. So, you know what? That will give us a chance to just polish that language, and so it's all right, so we will continue discussion on the order of conditions for Casella to September 8th. For Alderson, is there a motion?
I make a motion, we issue a standard order plus the following special conditions.
Okay.
Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 5, number 8, number 9, and number 11, and that's it.
Okay, so Tom has moved to issue our standard order conditions plus special conditions 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, and 11.
Give me 1 second.
He's checking to see if we have DEP numbers.
All right. Yeah, 23 I have. The other one we should because they've been, and Rotary Road.
I mean, Alderson has been,
Rotary Road we do, yes.
so do we have a DP number for,
20, yes, the other 2 we do, yes.
okay,
It was just that one because that one's new.
okay, right, I understand.
Yes.
So again, Tom's motion was standard order plus 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, and 11. Is there a second?
Second?
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's a vote. And then for Mr. DeFutis, is there a motion?
Make a motion that we issue a standard order plus the following special conditions. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 5, number 8, number 11, and that's it.
Okay, so Tom has moved standing order plus 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and 11. Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's a vote. And is there any other new business? So, as I want to thank you all for participating last Wednesday on our project to add additional special conditions. I think we probably are about halfway done. So the question then becomes, when do you want to schedule the next session for this?
Do we have a,
Deadline?
deadline?
No, we do not. Whatever deadline we have is self-imposed.
Do conditions that are approved, are they ignored until they're added to?
Correct. I think I think that's just the cleaner way to do it. Instead of adding them piecemeal, we'll just agree on all of them.
Okay.
And I think what we'll end up doing is that we'll put it on as an agenda item and we'll just approve them that way. Okay? Does that seem fair to you, Ginger?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The plan is that once we finish our work on adding the special conditions, we will vote on them as a group instead of doing it piecemeal.
Absolutely. Yep.
Like that, it's definitive. All right, so the question is, when do we want to do this again? And it does not have to be next Wednesday. I'll just put that out there.
I would be in favor of skipping this Wednesday and moving it.
So the 15th?
Is that the 2 Wednesdays?
Yes.
Sounds great.
Okay, so Allison, are you available on September 15th?
One second, let me just pull my calendar, sorry.
Okay, no worries.
I am available that day, yes.
Okay, so why don't we plan then on tackling the second portion of the special conditions on September 15th at 7 p.m.?
That's not our meet regular.
No, our next meeting will be September 8th, which is in 2 weeks. And if there's no other new business, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn? Oh, go ahead.
Okay, should we get Nathan to move to adjourn? Just kidding. Tom, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Allison?
Aye.
Okay, it's a vote.
Aye.
We got to work on your delay there, Allison. All right. Thank you, everyone.
I'm in a hotel room, so we don't have any internet.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. So, well, thank you for participating.
Good night.
All right, goodbye.
Bye.
Good night.